Good evening and welcome to the Village of Westmont, the Village Board meeting and in combination with the Committee of the Whole meeting for July 5th, 2011. I'd like to begin by asking our clerk to take the roll call, please.
Mayor Ron.
Here.
The clerk's here. Trustee Emery.
Here.
Trustee Fleming.
Here.
Trustee Klebanow. Welcome
Here.
back.
Thank you.
Trustee Nero.
Here.
Trustee Scott.
Here.
Trustee Seneca.
Here.
Manager Searle.
Here.
Attorney Zemanek.
Here.
Police Chief Mulhern.
Here.
Fire Chief Trout.
Here.
Public Works Director May.
Here.
Acting Finance Director Parker. Here. Village Planner and Assistant Economic Development Director Malik. Deputy Police Chief Gunther.
Here.
And from the Police and Fire Commission, Commissioners Muschel and Covanda.
Here.
Thank you. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
And Economic Development Director Kim and Assistant Manager Kimball is just entering the room.
Thank you. The first item before us this evening are the minutes of Committee of the Whole and Board meeting held June 20th, 2011. Any comments, questions, remarks?
Motion to approve. Second, Emery.
Discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Seneca?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Fleming?
Yes.
Trustee Scott?
Yes.
Trustee Klebanow?
Yes.
Trustee Emery?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Next is open forum, and we do not have any requests before us this evening for under open forum. Moving right along, we have a very special activity to perform right now, and that is to swear in a new police officer in the Westmont Police Department. And his name is Darren Padota. Chief, did you want to make some comments before we swear him in or after?
Or during comments after.
Or during. We also have two members of our Police and Fire Commission that are here with us this evening to help celebrate.
Behind the mayor. Behind you. All behind the mayor.
Good evening. Oath of office. I state your name.
I, Darren Padota,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the laws of the County of DuPage and the Village of Westmont,
the laws of the County of DuPage and the Village of Westmont,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
of police officer according to the best of my ability.
of police officer to the best according to my ability.
Very good. Congratulations. Oh, no, I was wrong. He does want to make a few comments.
Sorry.
I thought perhaps he...
Podium time. Never at a loss for words.
Again, I never am short. I'll just be brief. Thank you, Mayor. And again, welcome to Officer Padota. Darren comes to us from another department in suburban Cook County with 5 years law enforcement experience. I would also be remiss if I didn't thank the hard efforts of the Westmont Fire and Police Commissioners, led by Chairman Covanda, Commissioner Musial, and Commissioner Horensik, who is not with us here this evening. They do an outstanding job in testing for police officers by not only the physical testing, but the oral interviews. It's a long and hard and arduous job, and I thank them. And Officer Padota can testify, it's not an easy process to become a Westmont police officer. We've raised the bar very, very high, and he's the second officer within the last 2 years to pass that, meet that muster. So we have nothing but high hopes for him, wish him well, and we wanted to welcome him to our family. And that was it.
Great.
Thank you very much. We're sure he's going to be another outstanding police officer serving our fine village. Congratulations. Moving right along in reports. The first thing I would like to mention is to thank all of the departments for the disastrous storm that we all experienced on Tuesday, June 21st. I've lived in the village my entire life, and that's the worst storm that I have ever experienced. Our Public Works Department is still out picking up brush and doing a yeoman's job. We've had a few questions, comments, complaints from residents regarding why everything has not been picked up. It's just such a large storm that they're working as quickly as we can, and also a large amount of the time that's spent is done on regular work hours, not overtime hours, in order to stay within our budget limitations here in the village. I will ask Steve May to come up and make a few comments, but I just have a couple other things I wanted to say first, and that is to thank our police department for the excellent job that they did. I'm sure we all saw some pretty disastrous situations in various parts of the village, and I know in my particular street I could not get out of my street, my home, until 4:30 the following afternoon because of trees that had fallen down across the street. So it was truly very much of a disaster, and the staff is just working as hard as they can, and we can't thank them enough for all that they're doing. And Frank Trout's fire department was out there with all the lines being down. We had some pretty disastrous fires from all of the electric lines falling down as a result of the storm. But really, all the staff for the village in one way or another were involved in helping with the cleanup and the recovery from this disaster. So I just want to thank everyone personally for all of their hard work and helping to get through this disaster. And I would also like to thank the village of Woodridge, who were not struck as badly as our village was, but they voluntarily sent a branch chipper over to the village along with 2 staff members to assist our crews. So I will be meeting with Bill Murphy, the mayor of Woodridge, later this week, and I will certainly thank him for the help that they have given us. And with that being said, I'll ask Steve May to give us an update. Steve?
Thank you, Mayor. You did cover it very well. There were a couple issues. There was the immediate aftermath of the downed trees and a lot of blocked roads, and with that, many of those were entangled in ComEd lines too. So there was a process of working back and forth with the Commonwealth Edison crews, and it was mostly the next day, but certainly the next couple days, we got a majority of all of the physical obstructions off the road. Mayor mentioned the fire department was a big help too. They, couldn't chip the brush or anything, but they were going around, and the tree parts that were in the road, they were cutting up and moving to the side, so at least they were in the parkway, until we come back and get to them. Just based on the volume of, work we had with the parkway trees, it was clear, that there would be a large volume of, private damage as well. And it became more evident, each day when, brush started being put out. So we did, identify early on that we were going to start a village-wide brush pickup. Even though we were in the middle of a brush pickup already for the south side, we did a village-wide sweep starting the Monday after, and I believe that was the 27th. So we started that, and we've been working hard at, all hands are on, brush pickup, and pretty much all other work is been set aside. We have 2 trippers, 2 full crews ourselves. We immediately that next morning rented a 3rd chipper. We do also, since then, we have a contract personnel working in town too, helping us with it in addition to the mutual aid that the mayor mentioned. We started in the old part of town and moved out. We were moving both north and south. The heaviest areas were the oldest part of town. And I kind of, it's hard to follow along, but we've been kind of keeping a map by color. You've all been seeing it, but kind of our, progress on any one day. And it's very evident from early on that when the old parts of towns, you don't get very far, you don't get many blocks done in the 8 to 12-hour day, any one crew, because of the sheer volume of material. But as we've been moving further out, we have been able to get more progress. Actually, today was a very exciting day. There was a lot of, if you want to go by mileage, there were many streets covered today, but still it's the same amount of volume by any one crew. Today is 2 weeks since the storm, but kind of just 1 full week since the brush pickup started, and we estimate, there's a lot of good weather in the forecast other than first thing tomorrow morning. We'll be at least another week chipping and get into the following week too. It'll take that long to finish it. So we have an awful lot of, and appreciate the calls that we've been getting about not just the brush. The frustration is clear, is that there's a lot of brush sitting on the parkway, and it's sitting there and you can't cut the grass and everything's yellowing and it's all drying out, and it's very frustrating for people that are on the tail end of this process. And I sympathize with that, but in addition to just picking up the brush that's already been set aside, there are over 100 identified, I'll call them hangers, but hanging limbs and trees that we have to get up into the tree and get the branches removed. The forester goes around and identifies the most severe as far as safe or precariously situated over sidewalks or in bad positions. So we've been working towards getting all those out, but we'll be literally, I'll just call it pruning for the entire summer. It'll take a long time to get through that entire list. But we do encourage everybody when they identify them, we can't see them all, so we appreciate the phone calls on those. And I guess, just ask for the patience and getting to the end of it. 3 weeks of chipping and 4 weeks of chipping, and somebody's going to be at the tail end of that, and it's getting aggravating for everybody involved. But that's where we're at today, and we continue to work every day, and we'll keep at it.
Where's it all go, Steve?
It's sitting in the yard right now. I've got one big old pile. In Lamont, there's a place where they produce mulch, and they take it all for free if you can get it there. I'm not occupying anybody's time making round trips to Lamont. That's something we'll continue to do into the future after we've got it all chipped up. The contractor is set up so that he takes his chips directly to Lamont, not dropping them in the yard. But the pile is getting very, very big, and it is composting right now. So it's hot out, and we try and get rid of it when the real hot afternoons, or if I don't have a full crew, in the evening, then we'll send somebody and start shuttling out, a 10-wheel truck back and forth to Lamont, try and get rid of it.
Steve?
Free mulch for anybody, free delivery to anybody.
Once you've passed through the area, if you're not taking any more, you're not going back to that area if they happen to find some, if they happen to get up and cut a branch that was broken down, you're not repassing?
That's correct. We're I mentioned how long people have been waiting for their first pass. We identified very early on that once we're past that location, we're not coming back to the same area. It happens to be an issue because brush continues to be pulled out. But the next regular scheduled brush pickup wouldn't be till September. So if it hasn't been out already and we've already done collection in your area, you'll need to either arrange for it to be disposed of, by contractor or private means, or landscape waste if it's small enough. Otherwise, you need to store it until the next collection. Thanks for asking. It's an important issue going on right now.
Anything else? Any other questions?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Steve. The next thing I'd like to mention is that last week I attended a meeting with Village Manager Ron Searle and our Public Safety Committee of the meeting was at the Intergovernmental Risk Management Agency, and they presented an award to the Village of Westmont. There's an award for a large member community and a small member community, and the award that Westmont received was as a large member community. Now, I forgot, remind me again, how many communities are actually involved? I forgot what the number.
In the large member category, and it's based on this, the revenue base of the community, there's a little over 30, maybe 35 members. There's a total of about 70 members in the pool itself.
But anyhow, of the 30 to 35 large members, Westmont was at the top of the list to receive this award. And this is the 4th time the Village of Westmont has received this award. So it's truly a great thank you to our public safety staff who work with all of our departments, and we just have a tremendous safety record here in the village, and they work very hard to maintain that. And along with that was a $1,500 monetary award, and the committee is going to sit down and use that money to figure out and design another program to further the safety of all of the employees and the village of Westmont as a whole. So our congratulations to all of our staff again for a great period of time with no or very few accidents and nothing severe. So congratulations. And next, I would like to mention, and I will call Larry McIntyre up in just a second, but as everyone is fully aware, the Taste of Westmont is coming up this weekend. It'll be the 7th, the 8th, the 9th, and the 10th. And Larry will give us an outline of all the activities for each of those days. But also, I see that Larry's got some of the emergency volunteer staff that are also represented here. And without them, we couldn't put on this activity, and without the hundreds of volunteers that have signed up, it just wouldn't be happening. And it also wouldn't be happening if it weren't for the, I'm probably stealing some of your thunder here, sorry about that, for the Westmont Auto Mile, who donates money to help make this activity occur here in the village as well. With that being said, Larry, take it away.
Thank you. You know what, I'll go ahead and reiterate all the messages that you just communicated because they're worth repeating. But this is an event that takes many, many volunteers working all year long to plan the event, and we are a not-for-profit corporation, and we take our responsibility of managing the event as well as the fiscal fiduciary responsibilities of the event very seriously. And we have a board of 7 people, and then probably another 6 or 7 core member volunteers who come to every meeting all year long. We meet on a monthly basis just for our regular meeting, but then we have many additional meetings to plan the event, and without all of their hard work, none of this would be possible. And then also, we do have a couple of EMA people here, which is by coincidence, but they're at all of our community events, and we couldn't do any of the events without any of them. They're there supporting our events, supporting the community, making sure that our pedestrians and motorists are safe as they get around to the events. And we have a great relationship with them, so thank you, Fritz and Dave Lincoln, and all of the EMA members. But we're here to kind of to promote this weekend's event, and as the mayor said, it's July 7th through the 10th, and our theme this year is Dancing in the Streets. And we picked that theme probably back in September with the notion that we would capitalize on the fact that that was a Motown song, actually the anthem for Motown. So we thought we'd go out and hire a Motown tribute band, which we did. In the back of our minds, the whole time we were thinking, wouldn't it be nice if we got Martha Reeves? Martha Reeves and the Vandellas, if you hire them as a full band, is quite expensive, well beyond our entire entertainment budget. But we, over the course of time, she ended up having the date open, and so we were able to secure her as an individual. We put together the backing band, and so Martha Reeves, the person who made the song Dancing in the Streets, an international hit, will be here in Westmont. And I had the pleasure of speaking with her on the phone last Wednesday, sort of talking about coming into Westmont, and it was a great conversation, and part of that will show up in an article that's going to show up in Trip Local this Thursday. So anyway, our weekend event is Dancing in the Streets. All music for the entire weekend will be dance music, and so I want to talk real quickly through our main stage lineup. Actually, the event opens on Thursday with our Kids-A-Palooza, so that's a repeat of what we did last year. And that's actually a necessity, opening on Thursday. Last year, by opening on Thursday and generating that extra revenue, which was very successful, that allowed us to break even. And so our entire budget for the entire year is on a break-even proposition. So the Kids-A-Palooza is happening again, but we also were lucky enough to bring in Radio Disney this year. So they're going to come in from 6 to 7 on Thursday. And accompanying them is going to be Magic Quest, which is a company up in, is it Lombard? Yorktown. And they do kids' amusements, and so they're going to come in and have their mascots and do games and all sorts of activities. And we also have our first night of the Battle of the Bands on Thursday, which is going to be very exciting. Anyway, that's Thursday night, Kids-A-Palooza. Friday night, starting at 5:30, we have Libido Funk Circus, which is a band that plays 60s and 70s soul and funk music, and it's all high-energy dance. When you hear it, you're going to have to get up and dance. And the same thing with the band that follows after them, which is Rock Candy at 8 o'clock. They play more modern pop dance from 80s to present, so everything from Madonna to No Doubt to Lady Gaga. And then on Saturday, the Deep Grooves starts at 6:30, and that's the Motown Soul Tribute Band. At 8 o'clock, we have a Michael Jackson Moonwalk contest, so we expect all of the trustees to sign up for that and come up and show us your dance steps, or maybe not, it's up to you. 9 o'clock, Martha Reeves will take the stage, and she'll do a half-hour set at that time, and then she'll come back later in the evening for an encore. Sunday, as always, is our Blues Day, and so we have our Muddy Waters Blues Jam during the daytime, and then that'll feature Eddie Taylor Jr. and Tom Hollins. And then in the evening, we went out and hired many of the great local blues guitarists, and they're all going to take their turn on stage, and we're hoping that this will draw quite a crowd. But Trans O'Cannon, Pistol Pete, Mr. Mike Wheeler, Joe Barr, Gary Gann, and you may remember a couple years ago we had Talon Latz, who at that time was 9 years old, now he's 11, but he tours all over the world now, but he lives in Milwaukee, he's still close, and so he's coming down for the event, and that'll be exciting. So anyway, that's the main stage lineup. We also, this is all the lineup for other activities throughout the weekend. People can see this online or pick it up. These brochures are all over town, as well as we'll be passing them out at the event. But next, I'd like to turn it over to Karen Mackert, who was our food vendor chair, and she will talk about our food.
I don't know if everyone's going to see that, but anyways, thank you, and we're very excited that the taste is finally here this week. Everyone's put a lot of hard work into it, and we want to thank the village too, because if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't have the Taste of Westmont. As far as food vendors, I just want to highlight, I'll go through them all, but I want to highlight the two new ones that we got this year, and that is Papa Paceros. We worked very hard in getting them, and we tried to get them through the years, and we finally got Papa Paceros. So we're really excited about that. And the other one that is new is a Jockey restaurant, which is Chinese. They're coming from like the 63rd area. So we got Jockey, that's 2 new ones. Some of them that have been in from the very beginning is Uncle Bub's Restaurant. And then we have Absolutely Delicious, Brickyard, China Chef, Dairy Queen, L&F Pizza. They've also been in for a while. We're also going to be selling L&F Pizza on Kidsapalooza because last year there really wasn't that much food to eat. So we're learning as the years goes on. So the WSCC is going to be selling L&F Pizza with pop on that day. Papados is going to be in. We worked hard again getting them this year. They were on the fence, and they were able to pull it all together with corporate, so we're excited about that. Taco Express, Tap House Grill, Tropical Snow, Uncle Bub's, so I already talked about Uncle Bub's, he's also a sponsor of our event. Uncle Zorba's, which is the Greek food. Westmont Chambers doing their wonderful lemon shake-ups with their secret recipe. And the Westmont Lions is our last one, and just to let you guys know, it's their 75th anniversary. So we're excited to have the Westmont Lions again, as they have always been in every year. So we're really excited. Any questions?
Great lineup.
Okay, thank you.
Hello. Larry, I wanted me to kind of take you quickly through the layout here a little bit, so you get a kind of layout of the land as far as how the taste will be set up this year. Really, it's going to be almost the same as last year with a few minor tweaks. In the carnival area, we're actually going to be having an additional ride expanding on Irving Street that we never had before, using up that bit of real estate there. I believe that's going to be a giant slide this year. Kind of going up a little bit where our information tent is. And our information and Pop Tent used to be combined into one. We kind of separated them and put them in line with the food vendors now, so they'll be kind of together in line. Handicap parking lot will be at Bank of America. In addition to the Manning School parking lot, we're changing the dining tent around to accommodate the Auto Mile group. They'll be bringing, I think, 8 or 9 cars to the event as well. We'll have a section for them set up. Our location for our first beer garden will be the same location we had last time, as well as having it in the Brickyard, and we'll have it a little closer to the sidewalks this year, so it's more convenient for people. And of course, the main stage will be up by Bishop's Chili. So, any questions? I'll give it back to Larry.
In closing, this event would not be possible without the many sponsors that step forward and contribute to the event. And so we'd like to run through that listing real quick. At the nickel sponsor level, we have Active Child Care and Westmont Yard Soccer Fields, and this is their first year participating. Bank of America, Brickyard Grill, Convenient Food Mart, Community Unit School District 201, Dance Duo Studio, DJ Sports Bar and Grill, L&J Auto, Lux Showroom, Marco Tanbor Hair Salon, Monaco Mechanical, Oakbrook Hills Marriott, Suburban Lock, Westmont Lions Club, and the Westmont Methodist Church. In the bronze level, we have Apex Energy, Bethel Early Learning Center, and also something that's sort of returning this year is they're the sponsor of our petting zoo, which will be on Sunday only it'll start at 1 o'clock, and it just depends on how long the animals can handle the heat. But that's going to be at Cass and Burlington. Burr Ridge Lighting and Design Center, Center for Dance, Expression Dance, Jamaica Teas, which is iced tea. It's a unique iced tea that we'll be serving at the event. Mailboxes and more, SciTech Hands-On Museum. Our silver sponsors include Allstate, Clarendon Hills Bank, Popular Community Bank, Best Western, Quick Copy, Uncle John's Music, Burgess Square, Platigan Sports, and United Radio Communications. And then moving up to our gold sponsors, we have Peapod, who will be donating all of the soda for the event for the weekend, which is going to be a great help for us and a great revenue source. Westmont Rotary Club, which donates the video production and editing, Euclid Beverage, Uncle Bub's, who helps us out in many ways, too much to mention, but just nonstop throughout the year. Brilly Recording Studios, this is an interesting one. They're providing over $2,000 worth of free studio recording time to our Battle of the Bands winner. And if you talk to any of the Battle of Bands contests around us, that's a unique prize that no one offers. So it brought out a lot of interest for this particular event. Joseph Allen Black, graphic design. He designed all of our logos and publicity materials. Westmont Park District. And then moving to our media sponsors, we have Suburban Life Publications, Radio Disney, K-Hits. You'll hear audio advertisements on both of those radio stations. Of course, the Village of Westmont helps us out as a partnering agency in the planning of this event nonstop. Same thing's true with Waste Management. They help us out every year. And then, of course, our major sponsor for the event is Westmont Auto Mile, which we greatly appreciate all of their help and support. And that's all we have. I know you have a long meeting, so we should wrap things up. Any other questions? If not, thank you so much. We'll see you this weekend.
You still need more volunteers?
You know what? That's a good question. The answer is yes. And we always need many volunteers. So if you're interested in volunteering, it's 630-829-WEST. That's our office. Once again, it's 829-WEST. And we probably have our volunteer list signed up to about 60%. But that means we need quite a few more. So if you're able to help out, call 829-WEST, and we'll sign you up for a volunteer shift. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Larry. And the last thing I wanted to mention was the fantastic fireworks display and the activities that were conducted, other activities that were conducted by the Westmont Park District yesterday. It was truly a wonderful display for those of us that were there. It is every year. The cost for that, once again, is borne by the Westmont Auto Mile Group, and we're most thankful that we were able to get the money for the fireworks this year. And if it hadn't have been for that group that was started this year, we would not have had the fireworks display, which we had. But thank you, the Park District, for putting on a wonderful day's activities, and thanks to our police and fire and emergency service people who did a wonderful job. One of the biggest jobs that they face is afterwards getting everybody out of the area safely and quickly, and they had everything set up and it worked very, very well. So thank you to everyone for also making that activity a big success. And the weather was fantastic, just like it's going to be this coming weekend, right, Larry?
That's right.
Okay. Thank you, and that's all that I have. Moving right along, our village clerk.
I just want to mention a couple of things, and again, to tell Steve May, those boys out there working those chippers are phenomenal. I was so impressed. They work so hard out there that every time I saw them, I got out and hugged them and thanked them. They're terrific. Really, they were. They worked long hours, and I was so proud of them. And of course, the fireworks, and an example of how great our fireworks really are. When I was in Iowa over the weekend, this young man came up to me and we were talking, and he said, by the way, the best fireworks I have ever attended in my entire life were in Westmont, Illinois at Ty Warner Park.
But wasn't that Jerry, your husband? Oh, no, just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Wasn't there?
Just kidding.
But I was wondering, and Larry's already gone, if they were going to allow him to throw grapes at those poor moon dancers. You know, I wouldn't get out there. He might be standing in the wings throwing grapes at you. But everybody come out to the taste. It's a good time, and we'll all have a good time.
Okay, thank you. Our village attorney, John Zemanek.
Not for lack of activity, but I've got nothing to report tonight.
Thank you. Ron Searle, village manager.
Thank you. Just a request for an executive session following the regular meeting to discuss personnel and to set the price for potential land sale.
Okay. Trustee items. We'll start with Trustee Klebanow. Welcome back.
Thank you, thank you. It's nice to be back, I appreciate it. Just want to thank Trustee Nero and Trustee Fleming for taking care of my committees while I was gone. I ended with one and started another, didn't even realize it, so appreciate their help. And I will see you all at the taste. That's all I have, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Trustee Scott.
Thank you. Kudos to everybody for the 4th of July celebration. It was tremendous. And I would like to welcome back Trustee Clevenell from your month-long, or at least that long, down in Mississippi with FEMA, helping out those that really need the help down there.
Thank you.
And with that, we have a little welcome back present for you.
Candy for you. Well, thank you. I'm just happy to be home. I can't tell you how nice it is to be home, but thank you. Appreciate it.
Anybody else have anything?
Okay. Anything else?
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Seneca.
Thank you. Just wanted to reiterate the great comments on the storm cleanup and thank everyone that worked so hard on that. It was great the way police, fire, everybody was out there, certainly the street department. The fireworks were phenomenal. Again, a great coming together of so many groups that made this possible, with the biggest thank you going to Westmont Auto Mile because not one tax dollar was spent on the presentation of those fireworks. And EMA was phenomenal getting that traffic going, and just everybody was great, so thank you for that. Looking forward to the taste, as everyone is. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is I was out at Mays Lake today, and they received a grant to do a lot of remodeling. So many of those apartments now have new plumbing. The bathtubs have been removed and replaced with showers, new kitchens, so I know they're all very, very happy, so congratulations to Mays Lake on a wonderful grant. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Emery.
Thank you. Kudos to Streets Department again for all the hard work. It's greatly appreciated by all. And again, ditto on the 4th. And Pat, welcome back. For those of you who don't know, she used to spend crazy amount of volunteer time volunteering with FEMA when disaster strikes. So they decided they better start paying her a mere pittance for her efforts. And so I've written a poem to welcome you home, and it's called Proclamation for Pat. We're always naming the week of for some who get to go home at night, while you're gone for weeks or months at a time to help others in their plight. When folks have lost their towns and homes and are ready to give up hope, you arrive with a smile to help them find some funds to help them cope. Working through tornadoes and floods, you've sure got what it takes to battle high water, fires and mud, fighting ticks and flies and snakes. We did a lot while you were gone, even got our budget passed. The meetings really went pretty quick without your usual 200 or so questions being asked. Some have said that you should quit, give up your FEMA gig, but that's just being petty and small when what you do is big. So with all the proclamations Westmont makes for what other people do, this time, Trustee Pat Clevenell, we'd like to celebrate you.
Thank you. Very sweet. Very cute. That was sweet. Thank you.
Very cute.
That's all I had.
Thank you. Trustee Fleming.
Again, kudos to the Public Works Department and what they do in the 4th of July celebration. The other thing is, remember, the Taste of Westmont, even though you have food vendors on the street, our downtown businesses will be open for that entire weekend, so you need to patronize them as well. Our restaurants, our shops, all will be open, so by all means, stop in. Actually, their hours will probably be extended for this particular weekend, so by all means. And I would be remiss also if I did not join in saying to you, Pat, we do welcome you home, and we're happy to have you back. So, that being said, welcome back.
Thank you.
And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Trustee Nero.
A few things tonight, thanks. First and foremost, I think the storm cleanup was fantastic. I drive around town pretty much every day, and I see our guys out there working extremely hard. I mean, they're really doing a great job. Secondly, the fireworks were fantastic. I've never seen that many people in Ty Warner Park. I thought it was the most I've ever seen, if ever. It was awesome. People from other towns and obviously Westmont, but it was great. Lastly, I want to remind everybody that Larry McIntyre did already say that Saturday, July 9th, 8 o'clock is the moonwalk contest. I will be up there challenging all the other trustees. I hope they can follow me up there as well. And any other village staff, I think it's going to be a lot of fun, so I look forward to it. Hey, that's all I have tonight.
Thank you.
I want to see that.
Looks like it's going to be a fun weekend. Unfinished business, village board committees board to discuss section 2-33 of the village code regarding village board committees.
This is an item that's been before the board previously. I'd passed out at the last set of meetings an updated listing of the committee structures. One of the things I pointed out was the separation of staff from board members in terms of having some type of rotation, which was something that the board had discussed. I did get some feedback since the last meeting with a question really about the Economic Development Committee, which is structured a little bit differently than the other standing committees because we have several community members that are on that committee. And the question was, should those people also be considered in terms of a rotation at some point? So in the document I passed out, I added some language in there in paragraph D that says, community members of any standing board committee shall be periodically rotated by the village president and reported to the Board of Trustees. I think with that, we've tried to address, all the questions and comments we've gotten from the board members. And we'd certainly be happy to make any further modifications that you might want to the ordinance or change anything that we presented.
Okay.
Looks good.
Questions?
As far as getting this approved, formal ordinance hasn't been prepared pending any additional comments you have. So is the plan to postpone this one more time until next set of meetings? Okay with that? Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. Do we have any other further questions before we vote?
We still vote even though we don't have the formal ordinance?
It's on the
Should we-
agenda, so I'd like the agenda to indicate what the
we'll
action
just
was tonight.
Motion to postpone?
Yes.
Motion to postpone, Seneca.
Second, Scott.
Any further questions? Roll call.
Just a second, I'm writing stuff down. Okay. Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
Trustee Klebanow.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Fleming.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Emery.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. ETSB intergovernmental agreement. Board to consider an ordinance approving an intergovernmental agreement with the DuPage Emergency Telephone System Board, ETSB, for financial assistance of specified emergency dispatch consolidation expenses.
Again, this was previously on an earlier agenda. It was postponed because we were waiting to get some final numbers from some of the vendors. This relates to our consolidation with Downers Grove into their dispatch. As the board will recall, back during the budgeting process, we identified some expenses related to that consolidation, which we budgeted for. We also told the board that we would be, in turn, applying to the Emergency Telephone Systems Board for reimbursement. We are not going to receive 100% reimbursement, but we are going to receive a significant reimbursement in the range of about, I think about 80%. Does that sound right? 70 to 80%, I would say, in terms of what we had put in the budget. So we will be submitting that here shortly, and we're asking for the board to approve this agreement, which would be submitted along with the expense reimbursements.
Any questions? We have a motion.
Motion to approve, Emery?
Second, Scott.
Final discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Emery?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Fleming?
Yes.
Trustee Scott?
Yes.
Trustee Klebanow?
Yes.
Trustee Seneca?
Yes.
New business, 216 South Linden Avenue, zoning code variance request. Board to consider ordinances approving requests for the following zoning code variances. A, variance to allow the construction of a single-family home on a lot of substandard width. And B, variance to allow the construction of a single-family home on a lot of substandard area.
Good evening. I'm Glenn Armstrong. I'm the current owner of the property. My mother-in-law lived there from 1987 until about a year and a half ago when she went into a nursing home. It was a pretty run-down house, and we were trying to decide what we were going to do with it, and decided probably the best thing would be to demolish that house and build a new residence on the lot. In the process of doing that and getting into the permit process, I was made aware that the lot currently does not meet the zoning requirements as far as width and area. It's a 50-foot lot, 150 foot deep. It's very similar to all the other lots on the street there. Apparently all platted at the same time when that subdivision was laid out. I was told that I could request a variance to build on the so-called substandard lot, and that's what I have done. And I'm asking the village to approve a zoning variance for those two items so that I can continue with construction of the new house.
Is there anyone here from the public who would like to make a comment regarding this request? Okay.
I think for the purposes of the agenda and the request for board action, subparagraph B, well, subparagraph A is a variance to allow the construction of a single-family home on a lot of substandard width. And it talks about, your petition talks about the lot coverage for the area, but subparagraph B from both the agenda and the request for board action says variance to all the construction of a single-family home on a lot of substandard area. Now, we never do a blanket variance to all construction, and I believe it should read to allow.
It is just a typo.
Okay, just want to make sure. What's the side lot going to look like? I understand that the lot area coverage would be around 34.5%, but what size side lot? Are you going zero lot line?
No, it'll have the 6-foot setback requirement. 6 foot on the side, 35 feet on the front.
Okay.
It'll meet all the setback requirements all around.
Okay, good.
I think when we changed this some years back to make a 50-foot lot the standard, we realized and knew that in some parts of towns we have far less, and we don't want to stop progress, so to speak, because of these lots that have always been that way. As long as there's no other variances here, you're reasonable with your lot coverage, you're reasonable with your setback, you're meeting everything, if I'm understanding correctly.
It will meet all other requirements of the village, yes.
And I know there's a concern for some flooding in the area, so I'd kind of like to understand a little better if anyone thinks that this might be a contributing factor to flooding in that area, or if we will be okay with this.
Good evening. The application's under review by our planning engineer, Kim Nickel, and actually Mr. Armstrong is working through at least the first set of review comments. We it will be, all of the approvals would be subject to final engineering approval. We did have some residents that came out during the public hearing with that same concern, and we expressed that assurance at that time as well. There is one neighbor, I don't remember if it's to the north or the south of this lot. They do have a slight garden area that is raised in the back, and actually staff was going to meet with them somewhat proactively to address that. So they were pleased to hear that we would like to sit down with them and just go over what this may mean for them personally, because that particular garden area is in the natural drainage course. So the water would have to go a little bit around that, but we'll be discussing that with them, I believe, later this same week.
Mr. Armstrong, are you working as the general on this? Because I see the elevation says that it's proposed residence for Craig and Amy Klimzak.
I'm not sure what you mean by general. I am the owner, and I am hiring a builder. I'm hiring everybody. I am going to build the house. Amy and Craig, that's my daughter and son-in-law. So once I get the house built, they're going to move into it and buy it from me.
Okay, got it.
Could you tell us just a little bit about the style of house, how many square footage, just for those that might be here or watching this on television this evening?
Okay, it's a two-story house, attached two-car garage in the front. Total square footage is just over 2,100 square feet. Okay. It's got a dining room, kitchen, family room, laundry room on the first floor, 3 bedrooms, and what the architect calls a bonus room on the second floor, 2.5 bathrooms. There are several relatively new homes on that same block, and this one, it's going to look somewhat the same as the one that was just built across the street a couple of years ago.
Very good.
Nice.
Any other questions? We thank you for coming in.
Okay.
This will be on our agenda for consideration
Tonight.
tonight, right now.
Yeah.
We have a motion, pardon me?
Motion to approve, Emery.
A separate vote for each request.
On subsection A.
Second, Fleming.
Any final discussion? Hearing none, roll call on point A.
Trustee Emery.
Yes.
Trustee Klebanow.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Fleming.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
Point B.
Motion to approve, Emery on point B.
Second, Merrill.
Discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Emery.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Fleming.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
Trustee Klebanow.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you for coming in
Thank
this
you.
evening.
Thank you for your consideration.
Luck. Next item, 421 East 59th Street, zoning code variance request. Board to consider an ordinance approving a zoning code variance request to allow detached garage over 28 feet in length.
Yes, good evening. My name is Brian Anderson, and I live at that residence, and I am trying to build a deeper garage than currently the ordinance says. I have a 119 by 196 lot down there on 59th Street, and I have a house that sits currently, we built it in 2002, and it sits, the width sits sideways, it doesn't go front to back, and so I don't want a garage that is covered up by part of the house as it sits further back in the lot. And so my driveway goes from the street probably 2/3 of my current lot size. And so at the top of that driveway, I would like to build a longer garage and somewhat skinnier than what is already approved by.
And how much do you exceed the code?
8 feet.
In terms of square footage?
The same.
The same?
It's just long and skinny versus what's approved.
Okay.
The square footage is the same?
Yeah.
It's just the configuration of the garage?
Correct.
Configuration, right. The ordinance allows 36 feet, 26 feet. Right.
28.
We're going long and narrow is what it amounts to.
It's a 16 by 36 garage versus what's approved, which is a 24 by 28.
Right.
So the
Square footage not exceed the ordinances.
Right.
It's just a different shape.
Is the garage, you're in the gray house, right?
Yes.
And so the garage will match the,
And we're building it to match the house.
I just, nice to see you here. I just wanted to tell you that I always thought when that house was built, that whoever built it did such a nice job of taking that whole street, which had those highly peaked roofs, built back in the late 40s and early 50s, and incorporated that whole look into a nice big residence where you didn't, it was like, wow, that fits right in, and it's huge and it's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Glad to see you.
The garage will look the same way.
Yeah, the garage is going to have the same thing.
Same design.
There'll be dormers on the side and everything else.
It'll be nice.
Great.
Shannon, did you want to add anything?
I just wanted to clarify the point that the code allows for up to 576 square feet for detached garages, and this does go to that number and not exceed it.
Is there anyone here from the public for input on this item? Any further discussion? Board members? We have a motion.
Motion to approve Seneca.
Second, Emery.
Final discussion, roll call.
Trustee Seneca?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Fleming?
Yes.
Trustee Scott?
Yes.
Trustee Klebanow?
Yes.
Trustee Emery?
Yes.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Next item, 223 60th Street zoning code variance request. Board to consider an ordinance approving a zoning code variance request to allow a porch encroachment in a 35-foot required front yard setback. Yes.
Good evening. I'm Victor Steeden. I'm the owner of that residence, and I'd like to build a front porch on my 1936 home. At the time, it was built with a 30-foot setback, which of course doesn't meet the standard of today. And I've done extensive expansion and rehabilitation of the home over the 18 years that I've been in it, and would like to put a little capper on it. This is the front porch. It would be very nice to have some good curb appeal to the home, and would like to finish it off with that.
Questions from board members?
I think it would look nice.
Thank you.
Looks good.
Anyone from the public for input on this item? Being no further comments, it'll be on our agenda right now for a vote.
Can you hang around for about 30 seconds?
We have a motion.
Motion to approve, Nero.
Second, Emery.
The final discussion, any final discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Trustee Sun?
Yes.
Trustee Emery?
Yes.
Trustee Scott?
Yes.
Trustee Fleming?
Yes.
Trustee Seneca?
Yes.
Trustee Klebanow?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Next, Hidden View Drive Reconstruction Project. Board to consider ordinance approving a proposal from Civil Engineering Services Incorporated for the Phase 2 Engineering Design Services for the Hidden View Drive Reconstruction Project.
Thank you, Mayor. The project, we actually had a little mini review last meeting regarding the Hidden View Drive project, and with the budget being approved now, we're ready to move through with the road reconstruction portion. Very briefly, or if you want a bigger update, interrupt me and let me know. But the project was bid out in a staggered way to take care of the underground improvements out of the last fiscal year and move right into the road reconstruction in the current fiscal year. This contract is for the engineering services, which would be the design engineering or the engineering phase 2, to complete the construction plans in a biddable form, get it out to bid quickly, so that we can continue with the project with the pavement, reconstruction, everything, you know, above the surface. Speaking with the engineer, they are pretty far along, you know, with the design, so they will need another week to complete it and get it in a biddable form. You have to advertise it for 2 weeks. So assuming approval tonight, and I'll just mention we're, in an unusual way, also have the purchase order on the same agenda down at the bottom. But we can advertise over 2 weeks, go out to bid. Right now, we're looking for Tuesday, the 26th, so that we can bring it right away to, assuming no, you know, issues with the bid, it could be awarded as soon, well, go to the committee of the whole on the 28th, and then award on, that'd be August 1st. So we could see August construction moving quickly. Anything longer than that, we're you know, running into trouble with the fall.
And these are improvements, once done, that are subject to recapture?
Yes. There's a long history there. I don't know how far I have to go, but we have kind of become the general contractor for both the subdivision improvements, and the village had interest in extending the reconstruction. It was just going to be an extension to the west of what was Hidden View Drive for Solly's subdivision at that time. We wanted the improvements to be completed all the way to Cass Avenue. That developer wasn't equipped to take on such a large investment where we would repay them. So we are doing all of the public improvements that would be related to the subdivision requirement, and then consequently, because we're putting in all the sewer, or actually already have done all the sewer and water, now we're doing the pavement repairs, and any improved lots afterwards are, we have the ability to recapture those funds as if the developer was doing it as opposed to us, if that made sense. We're not usually the general contractor.
Questions or board members before we open it up for public input? Hearing no comments, is there anyone from the public here to speak on this project?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and distinguished trustees.
Please give us your name and address.
Yeah, my name is Stan Land. I'm a resident at 114 Hidden View Drive.
Okay, thank you.
Land, L-A-N. I'm here to represent, in fact, we have a group here to represent the whole neighborhood. And we have a petition to make. Let me read the petition. I also present this petition to Manager Suri, and also to Trustee.
I'm the clerk.
Clerk. Let me read it. Then we are, glad to answer any questions. First of all, we, the resident at Hidden View Drive, Westmont, Illinois, we are strongly against this to approve this project. The project is named Hidden View Drive Reconstruction Project. I think we presented some kind of petition before, about 2 years ago, for the phase one. Phase one is unrelated. It's a drainage, and I'm not a civil engineer, so. So phase two is to make the road, to make this dead-end road traffic as a through traffic roadway. Our petition is under the following concerns. First of all, the families with small kids choose to live in this area because of this dead-end road, for the safety purpose, that we can all understand. Second is the increased number of growing teenagers in the area. The police officers may understand that better. And we kind of anticipate if that's a through traffic, we may have increased traffic causing higher level of street noise, and a decreased property values due to the reconstruction. And also, very importantly, we try to figure out why we want to have a through traffic road there, and we consider that as unnecessary spending of the money, of taxpayers' money, and we can spend much less money to build trees and grasses to add more green items. So we seriously petition that the board will consider to disapprove this project. Thank you.
I wanted to clarify the Hidden View Drive from Wilmette is a fully improved street, curb and gutter, homes built on every lot, and we'll just call it a dead ends mid-block. And the west end of Hidden View is only accessible from Cass Avenue the way it exists today. And that is actually, it's Hidden View Drive, it's also 56th Place. So the north side right away is a different name than the south side. And these improvements went through there, and there was a very lot of discussion at the time that Solly's subdivision was coming in about that connectivity and the interest in keeping that dead end, but their request was to dead end it in the mid-block, essentially just have a guardrail stretched across the street, which for all good reasons wasn't acceptable at that time. So the actual improvement, whereas it'll connect from Wilmette Avenue and be a continuous street through there, there is no access, there is no ingress access from Cass Avenue from either direction, and there's only right turn out allowed. We don't even have a right turn in. So as far as through traffic, 100% of everybody that resides on Hidden View from Cass Avenue to Wilmette will have to access it from Wilmette. The only through traffic would be anybody whose interest is westbound Hidden View to go northbound on Cass Avenue, and I can't picture that being a great demand. So for all the reasons and concerns that were just brought up, the design of that intersection at Cass Avenue is extremely limited, only allowing one turning movement out. So you can't call it a one-way street, but the only way in to all those residences is from Wilmette. So if anything, it's more restrictive.
Yeah, it's not a through street.
Only if you're.
Only if you went from Wilmette, crossed over, and turned north on Cass.
I don't know why you would want to do that.
Right.
Right.
So I'm sure
there might be one or two people, but
there's a lot of residents in this town that are envious of that traffic restriction as it is. So, yeah, it's not a through street. You understand the traffic restrictions, that you're only people that are on Hidden View now will be able to turn right onto Cass. You can't take any traffic from Cass and take it through. It's all got to come from Wilmette.
That's correct. No matter which direction traffic is going on Cass, you cannot access Hidden View from Cass Avenue.
Sorry, you said that it's only going to be a one-way road?
No.
How about people from Wilmette? They go through Hidden View Drive, yeah?
Well, our primary concern is that it's going to decrease property value for us when potential buyers come and see that there is a road going all the way to Cass, which is a busy thoroughfare.
What about the flooding issue that's been there for years?
I thought the flooding issue already been taken care of on the first phase of project. That was already done. And what we don't understand is
could we ask them to come to the podium so that everyone can hear them and we can understand what's being asked here?
Okay,
Can you?
Give us your name and address, please.
Okay. My name is May Jane. I'm living in 106 Hidden View Drive. We've been living in this street is almost 14 years. And I did talk to someone on our streets, lived there like 20 years. We like our family. We choose to live in this street because it's very quiet and very nice, peaceful. Kids play on the street all the time. It's very, very nice place. And now, this project, we do understand the phase one, which is taking care of the sewing problem. Okay, the problem is we don't understand is why want to make a connection between two streets. Today I talked to both of the street people, okay, the resident on the both side. Okay, nobody even liked this idea because it's definitely, no matter you say how this traffic, you only can go this almost like one-way street, still increase the traffic. We have small children there and they can't play outside anymore. There's definitely the traffic will be increased. Also, the house value is definitely gonna decrease for sure. And we're really, really concerned that I think a lot of people here today, lots of people didn't come today because they have some kind of family events, couldn't come. And I do speak of from, behalf of lots of people, which I visit today. And they definitely asked me to go back to him to give the answer for today's event to see what's going on here. What we really consider is not making connection between the two streets. One of the residents is a very old lady and a gentleman on the 56th Street, and they're saying they even need to change their address or something like that. It's mainly make them uncomfortable. Connect these two streets. I don't know why this need to be done. That's my concern. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Maran Mohammed. I live at 110 Hidden View Drive. And I kind of wanted to address the recapture issue. It seems like you want to create a road whereby there could be more homes built on either side of Hidden View, and then you would be able to recapture some of the costs that would be incurred because of this construction project. But as we all know, the economy is pretty bad, and new home starts at an all-time low. And even if you were to try and sell these properties to potential builders, I highly doubt that you're going to see any recapture in the near term, and maybe even in the long term. This is like a 5-10-year plan in order for you to recoup your costs from this construction project. So essentially, what I'm trying to say is that you don't need to spend taxpayer money in order to connect a road whereby the residents on that road don't want it to happen. And then on top of that, there is no benefit to the village with increased property taxes by building new homes, because I really don't think that any new builder is going to come in and try to build homes on the newly developed Hidden View Drive. And then also, it is going to impact our property values by at least, at least 10%, because once again, if we do put our property on the market and people do see that there is now a throwaway to Cass Avenue, that's going to automatically impact the value of our property. And no one's going to really believe us when we say that this isn't going to be a throwaway for other people to go through to Cass Avenue. They're only going to see the road because that's only apparent to them. So thank you for your time. And
anyone else?
Just wait. Again, Stan at 114 Hidden View Drive. I just want to add one point. If this is only for local traffic, if there is no additional other traffic, then we as local people, almost the whole neighborhood, we don't feel any inconvenience at current point. People choose to live there for a reason. And there's almost everybody does not feel that that's the right choice. Thank you.
Yes.
Hi, gentlemen. My name is Wellington Koo. I live at 122 Hidden View Drive. According to this gentleman, only a small amount of traffic expected when the streets are connected to become a through traffic. Then I don't see the use of the taxpayers' money to construct this, to make this reconstruction of a street. Besides, there's already a street, 56th Street, right north to this street. Then why do we need to have this another through street? Okay, I don't see the logic here. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Lee Mei Koo. I live in 122 Hidden View. I think the street called Hidden View, that means it has to be hiding somewhere. And if you make it go through and it's not Hidden View anymore, then we have to change the name of the street. Thank you.
It's hard to argue with.
Hey.
It's hard to argue with.
Anyone else?
I certainly can't speak to all the comments, but I mean, out there right now today, physically, there is no pavement. I mean, it's just, there's nothing there. We've got grinding spread out so that there's something to drive on until we can do the construction. So the actual cost to do the improvement already exists regardless of what the connectivity is. As far as interest in developing it, that whole north side, the bank that's in ownership already has interest in developing those lots, at least on the north side. And since it was their responsibility as part of the subdivision improvements anyway, that's where the recapture came in. It's just so that the public isn't spending money that is an obligation under our land development code to it's someone else's responsibility. So when they sell those lots, if and when, yes, economy's bad, but as soon as someone builds, we can get the money back as it happens, and then that way we're not funding it. So the only question is the connectivity, and I've already explained that. So if you have other questions.
Can you clarify the connectivity? Because it sounds like, I hear three main concerns from them is the increased traffic is number one. Second thing is misuse of public funds. The third thing is decreased property values. And to me, as I see it, I live on 61st Street. I'd give a right arm to have brand new curb and gutter streets. I think if anything, it would help property values. It would encourage people to move there. But as far as the traffic, I guess I don't understand I don't want to call it a one-way, but how it's going to be policed, and B, what the new traffic is going to look like, the new traffic pattern.
Thank you.
If you can picture, or Frank, if you can turn this on, I don't even know if this will work. But the actual, this is the Hidden View Drive that exists, and this is Wilmette Avenue. So north being up. This is the road that is under improvement. Actually, this photograph is old enough where you could see the old median in place, and there was I hesitate to call it pavement. For all practical purposes, it was gravel. It was such deteriorated, and for a very long time, before any of this started, the south half was actually a private driveway. So that all had to be dedicated and become public right-of-way. So this is the subdivision that we were talking about, and I don't remember, I think there's like 4 lots up there that are buildable and are already subdivided, and are just vacant waiting to be improved. So the fact that we put all the utilities in the pavement, and improved properties are more valuable, than unimproved properties. So I don't know how to speak to the property value comments, that were the concerns. This is a very long, I don't even know how long this is, but it's already a long dead end, and the reason this doesn't have a cul-de-sac bulb on it is because it's designed, to be pushed through. Instead of having the roadblock here from the original, discussions of the subdivision, and we're talking, years ago, there was no way to put a cul-de-sac on this end either. So we can go all over it again and, talk about public safety, but essentially you've got garbage truck traffic, fire truck traffic, anything that pulls in there, any truck's got to be able to get out of there. You can't make them back up 3,000 feet and try and get out of location. So the connectivity is important. If you're going to have a dead end, that's why our subdivision code has cul-de-sacs and minimum radiuses and what those designs are for. So, not to go back to an old topic, but I mean, we had to back a chipper truck in there today to get to the brush piles that were inside. So, so this road will be a normal road. It'll be a two-way street all the way through here, except right at the intersection with Cass Avenue, and you can consider it blocked off there, except that the traffic on Hidden View or 56th Place may turn right and proceed north on Cass Avenue. Any garbage truck traffic, any public works traffic, any delivery traffic can get out when they, but all traffic enters from Wilmette Avenue. So regionally, you have 55th Street up here, 56th, and who would be cutting through here would just be whoever resided right here on Wilmette Avenue. You've got a traffic signal at 59th Street. I can't picture a demand other than the residents on that street, or a very, very small few in addition to that would find that valuable.
What's stopping people going north on Cass from making a right-hand turn?
The physical curb and gutter will be a right turn out call it a pork chop if you want, but it's a,
Plus probably the signage, like on 56, the signage that has no right turn during rush hour.
yeah. But the road will also be curved so that you would have to.
Physically, you can't.
You could four-wheel over it and.
Okay, so you are building a curb way of deterring people from trying to turn down there, which means everybody who lives towards Cass Ave has to go all the way around to Wilmette to come in on their block.
Like the worst case would be, the corner house. If they were on Cass Avenue or coming home, they would have to go all the way to Wilmette Avenue. I don't know how to describe it differently. It's almost a bigger inconvenience, the way it's designed than promoting anything.
So during that certain time period on 56, that they can't make a right turn during that 2-hour time period, anybody trying to turn down there who live on that street has to go all the way up to Cass or all the way to 59th to be able to get to Wilmette then.
Anybody who lives on that street, it's a two-way street. Anybody that lives on the street can back out and exit on Wilmette. Right. If they want to turn anywhere southbound, they can go to Wilmette, go down to the traffic signal and use control.
But I'm saying if they're heading north on Cass and they live on that street, and it's during that 2-hour time period that they can't use.
No, that's any time.
No. I'm just saying during that 2-hour time period, they cannot use that next street north.
56th Street, right.
Now they have to go all the way to 55th, or they have to go all the way to 59th.
But that'll be all the time, not just during that 2-hour turn.
That 56, is it 56? That's only a 2-hour period they can't turn.
That's what Hidden View does now, and there's only that few houses that would have to go around.
Well, there's probably, 4 or 6 houses that it's going to definitely inconvenience, but I mean, that's their problem.
All of them.
What are the
ones on the other end are used to going all the way.
That's true. The ones on the
ones
east
who are
half,
entering from Cass is definitely going to be a problem.
Usual,
Steve, what are the waste management trucks and big public works trucks do now when they come in from Wilmette and there's no cul-de-sac? They have to back out?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't say that I've ever watched a garbage vehicle, but
they come in backwards.
Oh, so they back all the way down and then do their work on the way out?
That almost seems like a safety issue with children.
A trailer. Snow plowing, it's all related.
Yeah.
Any other comments from board members?
I was just wondering if the 4 or 6 homes that are there understand that they're not going to be able to make that turn inside from Cass.
I remember we had a lot of discussion.
For some reason, this is, for some reason, this is the first time I've heard of this where they can't come in.
Yeah, actually, at the time that we talked about this, we had a lot of input from the people on the west end of Hidden View, and this was sort of the solution that we jointly reached.
I knew we were trying to stop them from cut through, because that's definitely going to be cut through with that light on rush hour. That's why I didn't know if we were just going to try to do a 2-hour window like they do on 56, or if it's going to be a 24-hour.
Only because you brought that up. It's my understanding DuPage County might be going out to bid as soon as August to remodel that intersection and get rid of that stupid split phasing thing they have on 55th Street there. So.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Not to, I'm saying that portion should be solved,
Hopefully.
Well, I mean, we spent months working on this thing way back when the whole subdivision thing came about, and there were residents from all up and down that street on the Wilmette side as well as the Hidden View side came in here and talked to us about how this could be controlled and how it could be taken care of and how we could see to it that it could be done in a fashion that would be suitable for all those involved. At that time, this was part of that discussion. And I remember very clearly because one of the issues that came up at the time, the young gentleman here had stated as far as property values going down based on economy now, but your value of your home is not going to go down based on street improvements, especially if it's curb and gutter and brand new sewer systems put into place in a particular area. That's going to increase the value of a particular area to someone moving in versus what was there before. And I have been out there in the middle of that, and I've stood in there and been up to my knees in water, standing on Hidden View Drive. Been there. I've waded through it. Now, at this point in time, we are at a point where you can't just stop everything midstream because we're now several years past. It's a case that people have asked for us to try to resolve the water issues. They've asked for improvements. And I mean, I understand what everybody's saying, but then again, we've restricted the traffic flow to the point where I don't seriously think you're going to get a major amount of traffic coming through your street. I mean, worst case scenario is once the project is done, we can ask the PD if they would put down some kind of a counter or whatever, which we've done in several other cases, to check and see what the traffic flow is through that area. If it seems like it's heavy, then we look at the tributaries around and we try to make corrections like we've made in the rest of the village. As far as taxpayers' funds go, the funds for these projects are set aside as well as just a partial amount of what we do based on capital projects. So, I mean, as far as that being done, these are all things that are budgeted. And there's other projects in the village that we're going to have to budget going forward. As far as, I think, the improvements that are going to be made here, I think, number one, you're going to see less flooding in this particular area. We understand that it's taken a little bit longer than what originally was planned, and unfortunately, due to the economy and due to our state legislators down in Springfield, they kind of hamstrung us on how we could plan our budget. So unfortunately, it's probably taken 6 to 8 months longer than what we wanted it to take. Hopefully, we can get this done. The engineering, as Public Works Director May has said, get this on the 28th of July's Committee of the Whole, get the bids done, and get this done before the fall hits. I really think once it's done, I think the improvements, I think everyone will look at this a little bit different. I understand that it's a change, and I understand that change is always difficult for everyone, no matter what we do. But unfortunately, I mean, these streets were set up, especially the one off Wilmette, was actually set at such a point to eventually go through there. So whether we're faced with that issue as a board at this point in time in finishing this project going through, or a future board were to do it, eventually I would say it's something that would happen. Other than that, I mean, I don't know what else to say at this point other than, let's just give it a chance. Let's see what happens. And once it's done and finished, we can do a traffic monitoring for you. I mean,
Just to clarify, the addresses will not be changing, that's correct?
Correct.
So the addresses, they'll stay the same?
Yep.
Street will not be changed, then, yeah.
Addresses are a postal function, and they have every intention of, honoring the, 56th place for these handful of residents up here. There was someone that was in here half a year ago, maybe, was concerned that the name of the road was being changed to Hidden View, which it could still be done, but that doesn't take away the fact that they're using 56th Street, that there is no cost to the homeowner, and the post office will still.
The mailing address will remain the same.
Right.
Thank you.
You could have a dual street name, and then in time, as the people, wanted to transition, with sales or something to Hidden View, that could be done at their option.
Steve, when you do that curbing, that house on the south side, the closest house, will that interfere with snow removal and stocking snow up to interfere with that driveway that's so close to Cass Ave? I'm trying to figure out how your snow plows are going to maneuver.
Well, we'll go in there and probably, store it up on that end, and then on the right turn out, physically exit out onto Cass Avenue. So you know,
Okay, the first house on the south side, the
Yeah.
driveway is very close.
they actually have a dual driveway. They got a driveway that comes off this side and it's kind of horseshoe, so
Okay.
we would modify that so that it visually it didn't look like some way you could, you know, cut through there to gain access to Hidden View. And the homeowner at the time wasn't concerned about it. If their driveway became a cut-through device, they were prepared to, you know, eliminate it,
I just didn't want the snow piled up there if it gets too high, because
Yeah,
it'll also
well-
interfere with sight vision.
solve that.
Okay, thank you.
What are they gonna develop when you guys complete the street?
I can't speak for them. Some financial institution, you know, owns all this property. It was probably the bank that was the backer for the subdivision. So well, until there is pavement, until there's utilities, there is nothing to market. So I know they have interest. Whether they'll be successful or not, I don't know. But as soon as we're done with construction, I can only guess, but I anticipate they'll be for sale right away. They don't want to hang on to it either.
Three comments. We just presented as a petition to the board.
You have to come to the podium.
There are three issues. One is the property value. The second is a flooding issue, right? Number three is the traffic issue. Let me just present to the board to consider. First of all, the flooding issue. We were living there for 14 years, 15 years. Do you see any flooding issue? Never, ever, ever, ever flooding issue. We are there. Probably we are the most experienced people in that area. We never saw any water problem, no flooding issue. Second of all, the home value issue. As the first experienced people here, we are living there, the whole neighborhood. If that's not because of that geographic structure, we are not going to purchase that house unless the price will be 20% or 25% lower. So that's the second thing I want to comment on as people who are living there. Number three is the traffic issue. If we don't see any traffic need, why want to spend money there if we don't have traffic needs, right? So that's kind of self-contradictory. I just want to have these comments to be considered. Thank you.
Is it absolutely necessary from civil engineering perspective to make it a through traffic in order to alleviate probably the flooding on the west side of the street? We living on the east side of the street haven't seen any flooding issue at all. Okay. And I think if it's necessary to improve the flooding on the west side of the street, I think that there's a space there at the end of the current Hidden View to make it a cul-de-sac if we do need to compromise in some way. Because I believe that the wooded area, now they have been cleaned out, is a vast area. I think that could be a compromise. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Final comment. Please.
Oh, yes.
No, go right
yes.
ahead. You can speak.
Yes.
Go right ahead.
You can speak. Yes. We have so many leaders in Westmont, and we have to see things at this time. We cannot just make it everything go through and say, oh, at that time we need to solve this, we need to solve that traffic problem. I think we have to make it right at the first place. If we have the excellent people in Westmont, everything has to do it right at the first place. Not wait until everything finished. Then we have to change here and change there. That waste money too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any final comments from board members?
Mayor, my only last thought is not, to comment on either decision or solution, but the Cass Avenue is a DuPage County highway, and if we deviate what we're going to do at that intersection, we'll have to start over on the permit process with the DuPage Department of Transportation and essentially prevent us from completing it this year.
Important.
We'd be better off building it and modifying it later.
if need be.
From my perspective, I mean, this predated even my being elected to the board 2.5 years ago. It predated Trustee Nero. You know, naively so, I suppose. When I went through the agenda, I was like, okay, they're finally going to get the street finished. I had no idea that that was even the possibility to reconsider something that the board had done years ago. And Steve, thank you for clarifying that we'd have to go back to square one. As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to defer to the fact that, you know, it's wonderful to see a neighborhood come together and you can, you know, all communicate and say, hey, let's go before the village board and object to this. But I think then conversely, it blindsides everybody else that thought this was a done deal and had been here years ago and thought they knew what the plan was going to be. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to defer to the process that happened years ago when you considered people on Wilmette, people on Cass, the county, the people on the east side, the west side, and all of that. I'm extremely uncomfortable revisiting an issue that was obviously torn down to the square one and then rebuilt and decided. So that's my comment. I'm going to defer to the people that looked at this in great detail originally.
Chief Trout, do you have any safety concerns? Leaving it the way it is?
When we discussed this a number of years ago, two and a half years ago, we talked about fire response and you know, us going to Wilmette Street and coming in that way, or still being able to maneuver into 56th Street or Hidden View Drive from Cass Avenue. With us, we could do it either way. There wasn't going to be any real problem or real time loss. We also talked about existing streets in town, such as James Drive, that runs from Adams Street all the way to the creek into the golf course, and then Robinson Lane, a block just north of that, which has the same problems that could occur. We have a lot of tight areas within the community which we're able to address, adapt, and overcome. And we talked about all those a couple of years ago. We said that it would be in the best interest of everyone for fire and also for public works as far as plowing the streets, and in and out for heavy traffic, people having deliveries and you know, heavy vehicles in the street that it goes through, because they talked about a cul-de-sac or just a blockage of the street. So what was determined 2 years ago and people to move ahead with it is what the board at that time agreed to do.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other final comments from board members? We have a motion.
We need a motion.
Motion to approve, Seneca?
Second, Scott.
Final discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Fleming.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Klebanow.
Yes.
Trustee Emery.
Present.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone who came in this evening to discuss this item. Next item, Emerald Ash Borer Grant Program. Board to consider an ordinance approving an acceptance of an Emerald Ash Borer grant for technical assistance from the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus.
Mayor, this program, we actually applied for 2 grants and successfully received the one to help us. It's EAB grant assistance. It's not for actual tree removal, but it's to prepare our EAB mitigation plan, and more importantly, the actual, urban tree inventory that, we don't have, and became very evident when we didn't know what we were in for when the EAB arrived. So as part of the grant agreement, we need to enter into this this technical assistance grant agreement to get the money.
Questions?
The agreement just, specifies the terms of what we'll be doing.
Good.
Comments? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve, Emery.
Second, Fleming.
Discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Emery?
Yes.
Trustee Klebanow?
Yes.
Trustee Scott?
Yes.
Trustee Fleming?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Seneca?
Yes.
Furlough days ordinance. Board to consider an ordinance amending the municipal code to provide for a 39-hour work week in lieu of a 40-hour work week for fiscal year 2011-2012 in order to assist in balancing the budget.
This item is the third successive year in which we've had to do this. Our personnel code defines our standard work week for most of our employees as 40 hours a week. And as you know, in the current budget in the last 2 fiscal years, we've reduced that by 1 hour for furlough time. So again, we're asking for that consideration by the board, given the fact that that's how we'd addressed it in the budget this year.
Questions?
Just a comment. While we were all very, very pleased that we were able to give a very modest increase to our employees, I'd just like to say thank you to them once again for being so understanding for these last couple of years when times have been so tough, and for, just living through these furlough days again, because it does make a wonderful contribution to the community that they work for and helps us to continue the wonderful services that we provide for our residents. So thank you to our employees.
Any other comments? A motion?
Motion to approve, Nero.
Second, Scott.
Final discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Emery?
Yes.
Trustee Scott?
Yes.
Trustee Fleming?
Yes.
Trustee Seneca?
Yes.
Trustee Klebanow?
Yes.
Next item, prevailing wage rate ordinance. Board to consider an ordinance adopting the Illinois Prevailing Wage Act rates.
We are required by state law annually to pass an ordinance that ascertains the prevailing wages locally here for performing construction of public works projects. This is, again, that action. We do use the wages as established by the Illinois Department of Labor, and that schedule, I believe, is attached to the material in the packet. So we would ask again for the board's consideration and adoption of that this year.
Comments? Board members?
I am not in favor of adopting the Prevailing Wage Act. When I see what we are paying village workers and what we work to do with our budget and the restraints that we put on as far as raises and salaries and hiring at all, to see that somebody has decided that we should enact that somebody working in Westmont is a laborer, which includes totally unskilled anything, and the prevailing wage for such is over $35 an hour, which equates to an annual salary of $70,000, plus an additional $8.50 an hour towards pension. I think it's crazy. So the county can do what it wants, but as far as what I'm concerned for Westmont, I'm not voting to approve this.
The state provides these schedules based on a county-by-county basis, and I have to say your your thoughts are not alone. I was at a meeting last week in which there were some other communities here in the county that were talking about maybe getting together on a countywide basis and trying to ascertain a more accurate portrayal of what the prevailing wages should be here. I understand that the city of Naperville does something like that. But to my knowledge, there aren't any other communities in the county that do that. But that is something that was up for discussion last week at the Mayors and Managers Conference, and I would imagine we'll be looking at that for next year. But we are legally required to pass this ordinance to ascertain what those wages are.
What happens if we say no?
Well, we're in violation of state law. I don't know what the
That's not a good thing.
repercussions
Go to jail?
are.
I don't care.
Do not pass go.
Well, I imagine there's going to be penalties levied by the Department of Labor. So I did not research, because it's coming up for the first time, it's been passed every year, what the exact penalties would be, but I imagine there would be penalties.
Required for grants and motor fuel tax usage.
Well, that says a lot. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, thanks,
That
Steve.
does make a difference.
Appreciate it.
Do I feel like we've
Yeah,
just been held
they
hostage?
can't balance their own budget, but yet they're going to tell us what we have to pay? I mean, how
Well, again, it doesn't require that we use their rates. It's just the question is, how do you determine what those rates are? And I don't think there's been a real concerted effort locally to do that. And I think that is something that is of interest now for many of the municipalities, because they recognize that these rates seem to be a little
I can tell you flat out, it's higher than what a Teamster makes.
And you look at all these, and the easy way to compute it is you just double it and put a couple of zeros, and you get what the salary is, and that's excluding pension contributions and everything else. So, are other communities are they enacting it for this year and then saying let's look at it?
Yes.
For something.
Yeah, most of them have already enacted it, and they're talking about prospectively for next year.
So basically, take this
What about the ones that haven't? Are they holding out till the deadline?
Pardon?
Is there a deadline for enacting what we consider a prevailing wage rate?
Yes.
There is. Once again, I didn't look at it specifically for tonight because I didn't know these questions would come up. But at the very latest, it's end of July of this year.
Yeah, we're getting up against it.
I think it makes sense to just
pressure.
do it and
I
look
know.
at it for next year as other communities are doing.
Whereas we pass this annually, it's not that rate for the whole year either. They continually publish addendums, and it's revised throughout the year, so you're specifying that you are going to specify the current prevailing wage rate at that time, and you have to go to the Illinois Department of Labor to see what that is. So the fact that you're enacting it for a year doesn't mean we can't work towards other solutions over the course of a year.
I have a solution. I'll be happy to work on it.
But the rate usually doesn't go down.
No, I'm just saying, I don't think it changes monthly, but it's not steady for the year anyway.
So it'll get worse.
I mean, nothing like having a gun to our heads.
No, that's happened before.
Yeah.
Then I think that's fine.
Unfortunately.
If we pass this, I would request that we, as a village, make a concerted effort with our fellow villages.
I think that's what Ron's suggesting.
Pushing back on the
Yeah.
state and saying, hey, enough.
Yeah, I think that's what you're suggesting, Ron.
Well, I think what's going to happen is we'll probably, as a group, come up with what we feel is a more accurate reflection.
Absolutely.
I don't think there's a need to communicate back to the state as much as just define what really are our wages here, and then we'll all use that.
And then go from there.
as our schedule.
That makes sense.
But if we don't pass the state one, we have an option next time, and we say no to the state and pass the other one, does that mean we wouldn't get the?
No, I don't. As I understand it, the requirement's not that we have to use a state.
It's that we have to pass one.
It has to be a realistic reflection of what the prevailing wages are.
But it
in
doesn't
your
have to be the state to
market.
get the.
But
funding.
what if the state says, we're not going to recognize what you come up as a group and recognize that as a prevailing wage, therefore, we're not going to allow you to participate in the grants in that?
What if it's 50% of the recommendations, and then we're free to adjust it upward if we so fit? We could enact that quickly.
I worry that without any sort of study to
I'm not trying to put you on the.
What if?
Put the pressure on
I'm
him.
not trying to put you on the spot. That's why I asked what the date was, to see if we can put this to the next meeting so that John can fire up his research wheels and.
I think it's premature if other.
I don't know that we could have an accurate, defendable wage schedule within a month. And I, based on the conversation that I was involved in last week, my impression was the statute doesn't require us to use the state wages. It just requires you to have a schedule that's accurate for your labor market area. So the question is, what is that, and how do you ultimately defend that? Naperville has a method for doing that, and the discussion last week was, let's get a hold of Naperville, find out how they do it. Maybe that's something we can do as a group countywide.
Okay. I'd like to
All right,
look into
with the
that.
caveat that we'll work on it for the next rate adjustment, which may not be a year according to our rate expert in the green shirt. All right.
Change will hopefully be down the line.
We will see.
Any final questions? We have a motion. May we have a motion?
So move, Seneca.
Second, Nero.
Roll call.
Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Fleming.
Begrudgingly, yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Klebanow.
Yes.
Trustee Emery.
Since there's not a category, I suppose it's yes.
Thank you. Next item, finance ordinance number 5.
We have before us on this 5th day of July, 2011, a finance ordinance in the amount of $618,574.72.
Motion to approve, Seneca.
Second, Emery.
Discussion on finance ordinance number 5. Roll call.
Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
Trustee Klebanow.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Fleming.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Emery.
Yes.
Purchase orders.
Motion to approve as a block for $53,035.
Second, Emery.
Have a second? Roll call.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Klebanow.
Yes.
Trustee Emery.
Yes.
Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Fleming.
Yes.
Okay. Now we need a motion to go into executive session as requested by the manager regarding potential land sale and personnel.
Motion to approve, Scott. Go into executive session.
Second, Emery.
Approve going in.
Roll call.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Fleming.
Yes.
Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
Trustee Klebanow.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Emery.
Yes.